So it's
Okay.
great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute after the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. So I always begin with this question. The pandemic 5 years ago changed
hmm
everything. How did you get through that coronavirus era, and how has it influenced the way that you do things now?
Oh, such a good question. I actually am a occupational therapist. So I was working in the acute care hospital setting at the time. And so I was smack dab in the middle of it. Like I remember that initial 2 week shutdown when nobody was going anywhere. I was still driving to work at the hospital and buttoning down in my full head to toe gear and walking into those COVID rooms. And I can remember how eerie it felt to be on the freeway. Like when you watch the movies and it's like apocalyptic type of energy, that's what it felt like going to work every day during that time. And I think for me, there was a lot of things I learned and watched just how the rift between people, seeing how vastly, starkly different people could see the world and see what was happening and see the different lenses. I've always been one of those people that can kind of see the gray. Like I can see both sides of things, like even politically, like I can see how this group of people believes this and I can see how this group of people over here believe that. And like I can see both sides. I can understand both sides. And so I think for me it's been a very big, like how can I intentionally hold that space for people,
Yeah.
because right now we don't have that. We have very clear black and white, we have very clear red and blue, we have very clear, people are so stuck in their ways of thinking. And I think for me that it's been a big shift in looking at like how can I see the world from a different point of view, how can I see it from the way maybe somebody else sees it. And really I think it's been the biggest, like probably provoking of challenging the way I see the world and believing things about the world. Like I know religiously, politically, like a lot of things that I just assumed and knew and thought, oh, this is how most of the world sees the world. It really was the catalyst for really questioning, why do I believe this, where did this belief come from. And I learned is a lot of the things that we believe and a lot of the ways we see the world is all built in control. Somebody is trying to control a group of people. And so it's like
Yeah.
when we just start asking questions, it changes the way we see our neighbors and it changes the way we see the world too.
It's interesting because I think that's the beauty. During that time podcasting exploded. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this realm for a long time doing jazz interviews, but have segued out. And I find that the podcasting world is such a magical realm of finding that gray area, the true
Mm-hmm.
democracy, the truth behind all of this divisiveness that we have in this country. Because at the end of the day, all of us are really kind of going towards the same thing. And there's
Yeah.
this like Venn diagram of us feeling kind of the same ways, even though we think politically different. But yeah, it's the game they play. They
Mm-hmm.
have these big red button issues, and you got to pick one side or the other. You know,
Yep.
there's no
Yep.
gray area in that. So it's definitely been an awakening. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do
Yeah.
with helping leaders and coaching. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day. You're in a school, and the kid in the back of the room is like, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
Ooh, I help women really understand their bodies. So a lot of women haven't really been taught much. We've seen a lot more in recent years, but a lot of women just don't really understand how our bodies function and how our bodies function differently than men. And I think part of that is because we just haven't had the research for it. There's women, I don't know if you know this, but like women have only been studied for like the last couple of decades in medical research. Like women were not included in medical studies. And so we've always just assumed that women function just like men. We're just the same. But what we know now is that the way the hormones function in a woman's body versus a man's body directly impact the way our brains are showing up, the way we think, the way we function, the way we focus, the way we create, all of those things. And so I really help women learn to understand how their body is impacted by those hormones and how they use it to show up in the way that they work so that they can be more effective and feel amazing in the process.
That's wild that it's only been
Yeah.
20 years. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And then and then you throw in the idea that these politicians are restricting all of this access and rights. Like this isn't about
Mm-hmm.
abortion. This is
No.
about general care for people in impoverished areas in places that where they need it the most, like Mississippi and Tennessee and places like that. Like that's why in this political era that we live in right now, I can't believe that every single woman is not voting and out there and doing it, because it's crazy to think that so much is getting still like we've rolled back levels of civil rights and protections
Mhm.
and progressive things in a way that's unbelievable in the last like 10 years.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy to really look at just the, like, I think overarching the level of understanding that we have around women and around women's bodies and how women's bodies function, and then how that moves into medicine. It
Mhm.
also rolls into the way we work. I think that there was a study that I had seen that like 50% of people think it's inappropriate to talk about a woman's menstrual cycle in the workplace. But when we what we know now about the way that, like, when we've done MRI studies of a woman's brain throughout the different phases of her cycle, we can very clearly see that there's different parts of the brain that are more active at different times. So if we know now that a woman's brain is directly impacted, it would make sense that we would want to talk about that in the way that she's working and in the workplace, because it is going to directly impact. She's going to be most likely to pitch herself in front of a boardroom at a certain time of a month than the other time. And just knowing that is going to make her show up more effectively in the workplace. And just a blanket across the board, we're not talking about it.
And it's wild because all of these images and dialogue that we get from Hollywood, it's okay to glorify all this violence and all this
Mm-hmm.
sadistic, horrid crap that we get. But if you start talking about human biological things that are affecting, that's why
Yeah.
that's the reason why when we have sex education in the eighth grade, all the boys are giggling because we're dummies. And all of the girls are looking on like, what else you got? What do you got? I've been dealing, I got it, I know it. And we're all just a bunch of idiots. And we're because we have no idea. I mean, and then most of them can go out and, you know, get involved with the movies and the violence and all of that. But when it comes to like human sexuality and how our bodies work,
Mm-hmm.
there's no learning curve, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. There is. I mean, and it really does start with, like you said, it starts with the home. It starts with the environment that they're in. It's the exposure. I have a 14-year-old, and I do see like a trend. Maybe it's because I live in California. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I do see that there is a lot more acceptance and there's a lot more discussion around it now than there was even when I was a kid. Like
yeah.
me in eighth grade, I remember there's like one story I tell all the time to, like, in my emails and things, of I remember being in the bathroom during PE and I was like changing clothes and I was trying to spook and scare my classmates when they came into the bathroom. And I was standing on the toilet with a friend. We're both like standing in there hovering over the toilet, and we started giggling so bad I peed my pants, but it wasn't pee, it was pink all the way down my socks. And I was like so mortified. And I like remember that so starkly now. But now, my 14-year-old, she like, the guys in her class know about periods. They
Yeah,
know when a girl's on her period. They know when she started her periods. Like, it's just an open blanket conversation, and
yeah,
there is no stigma around it. And I
no.
think that's really where we need to get
Mhm.
to in the everyday conversation. That it's not, I think it's the understanding too that it's not like Shark Week. It's not a week that's bad for women. It's not, all these things. They have good weeks and bad weeks. It's really, from the research and the work that I've done, the way women's bodies and the way they respond to the cycle really directly has an impact on the way that they're honoring their cycle. So women who are adjusting and living in accordance with where their body's at tend to have less mood swings. They tend to have less outbursts. They have less swings in their emotions and their energies and things like that. So if men have partners who are having these like massive dips or massive highs or massive whatevers, generally it's because she's not living in accordance with that cycle. And it goes for both men and women. Like, the women need the education just as much as men do, because a lot of women don't understand how it's really impacting them all month long either.
So let me ask you this. When
Yeah.
you were in like 12 or 13 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream job?
Ooh, it's funny. I wanted to be a brain surgeon.
Wow, that's
I
nice.
know, I know. And so now, being that I work with the nervous system and I work with the body, and I still am per diem, I'm a therapist in the NICU. And so I still work with like little itty bitty babies. And I sit there and I think, it's not really a brain surgeon, but I still am working so much with the brain and
Yeah,
how the brain develops and how our bodies respond intimately with the brain. So it's funny how it doesn't go too far from where I thought I was going to be.
sure.
Yeah.
So are you from California originally?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
take me back to your beginnings. How did this fascination with science and medicine and all of these realms of what you're doing now to help women, how did all of these seeds get planted and evolve into this career that you have now?
Yeah. So back then I probably wouldn't have said I was a sciencey person. I think I was more of the creative, the artsy, the exploration. I think that was my fascination with the brain. Less so of the medicine science component of it, was more of how does this brain impact the way we think and the way we show up, and how is this thing responsible for so much. Like I think it was, for me, that was the fascination was on the brain. And then I went through school in studying human behavior, and I was a psychology major. I did sociology. So, really understanding how humans, again, looking at how the brain directly impacts the way we're showing up and the way we interact in the world. And then I had my kids and I wanted to be able to stay home with them. My husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor. It's funny. I've never put it together till now, but like having that brain tumor in there, part of my story. But my
Yeah.
husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I found out I was pregnant and got what I thought was my dream job at the Children's Hospital all in the same year. And that really was my breaking point year of realizing, one, we're never guaranteed tomorrow. Like as much as we think we are, and as much as we plan for the future, like I see so many people like planning for retirement and then they never actually get to enjoy their life because something happens. But like we never, we are, so many of us are living for that one day, someday down the road, rather than living right now how
Yeah.
we really want to live. And I think the brain tumor and that experience that year was my wake up call for that. Of I don't know, tomorrow may never come. And
Hmm.
if tomorrow doesn't come, will I, on my deathbed, if I'm, or in heaven, whatever, would I say, wow, I lived my life really well? And
Yeah.
at that moment, I was not. And so that was kind of the catalyst for me starting a business, wanting to create something of my own so that I could have the freedom to do that, to be with my family and do the things I wanted to do. But very quickly burnt out building a business. Building a business was not easy.
Yeah.
So all the things that I wanted, like time with my family and freedom, I was trading those. Those were the things I was spending in order to be able to build this business. And somewhere in the process was like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. This is not going to work for me. I'm burning the candle at both ends, like working at the hospital, coming home, putting the kids to bed, taking care of the kids, and then working till the late hours of night and then getting up and starting over again. It was just not sustainable. And that's when I discovered how men and women are different. And then started sharing it with people I was in my world and sphere. And they were like, this is what women need to know. Like, more women need to know about this. And it's been amazing to watch. I think our world has really been ripe for it, to really look at femininity in a whole different way. Like when we look at, just you said, even like rights wise and like medicine and things, is that we went through this whole era of women having to fight for rights, women having to fight for the right to education, the fight to vote, they had to fight for corporate jobs, all those types of things. And fighting isn't necessarily one of those deepest feminine traits. It's not like a deep feminine energetic standpoint. And
Yeah.
so when we look at, like, that's how women have really been having to stand in this operate. And you even look at now, like the whole conversation about like women choosing man versus bear, it still has this very essence of women having to fight,
Yeah.
and fighting is not our natural resting point. And
Yeah.
so we're in this era, I think, right now for women to really begin understanding and honoring like what it really means to be a woman, not necessarily like you're the trad wife in the house baking and cooking, but like how do we like really truly leverage our deepest parts of who we are and the strengths that we bring to humanity as women.
So who have you admired? Who have you looked up to that embodies
Mm,
that feminine energy and they do it in a holistic, maybe balanced way? Maybe someone you would like to meet that might help you on your journey.
yeah. That's a really great question. I would say for me personally, the person that I had admired for a really long time the most was, her name goes Samantha Skelly. She runs pause breath work. She facilitates like breath work transformations and things like that. And I've had the opportunity to work with her very closely in the last year or so. And it's been really beautiful to see like how women can really honor and embrace and still be successful and wildly empowered and in our bodies and all those types of things. So I think that's probably the person I would pick.
So, on a more
Yeah.
cellular level, who has been your hero, your inspirational force that's allowed you to migrate
Mm,
and evolve in your career?
my hero. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is actually my daughter, my 14-year-old. she and I have had so much like tension and wrestling. Like I remember when she was little, there'd be moments where she was screaming and I was screaming, and we were just like so intense. And just to watch her transmute and learn and engage with herself like over the last couple of years as she stepped into teenage life, to where now I'm like, I love being a teenage mom, like, or not teenage mom, but like having a mom of teenagers. Like it's been just so beautiful to watch that and like watch her um navigate through the world and approach, like even recently she like approached me, she's like, Mom, the way you're talking about that, that's like super racist. And like the way that just because things in the world have functioned that way for the last 100 so years or forever doesn't mean that it's always the right way to go. So I'm like, wow, I really like, that's beautiful to see. So yeah.
So, what is the
Mhm.
energy for you to do this work that you do? Because it's not just like you have a regular job. You're helping people, you're making an impact. You have to
Mhm.
continually evolve. What is the energy when that alarm clock goes off to not only do that for your profession, but to do
Yeah.
that for your soul and your family?
I 1000% believe that this is what I'm here and made to do. Like, I know deepest in my soul, like helping women find the permission to live their fullest dream lives is like, this is what I'm meant to do. So, anytime I sit behind my computer, anytime I'm on a call with a client, I feel I describe it to my clients as like there's a fire deep within that like will not stop burning. Like I, even if I was making no money, even if I whatever, I would still be standing up and speaking it and sharing it and doing it. So I think there's that aspect of like what I'm doing, I know is like my soul's purpose and my soul's calling. And so it drives me beyond like a physical energetic piece. Like my physically and physical energy has less to do with it, like it would just keep going.
Yeah.
But I do know, I also, having gone through seasons of burnout and having pushed myself too far and having been in a place of pushing and hustling and forcing and trying to make it happen and trying to make it work and trying to do all that and sacrificing a lot of my body in the process, have really learned my body matters most. And so I am deeply committed to doing those body based practices. Like my kids know, they wake up in the morning and mom's in meditation, like do not interrupt mom because it changes how I feel the entire rest of the day. Like if I start my day grounded and centered in the beginning of the day, I'm a totally different human being. I'm a completely different human being when I start my day in my body versus caught up in all of the things that I have to do and the things I have to go for and, challenge the world. Like even I saw it last week. My husband's working out of town, so he was gone last week. Last week was a shit show and I was losing it. I was overwhelmed. I was frustrated. And then this week I was like, I am committed to my morning practice. And it's been a whole different thing. Like it's a whole
Yeah.
different ball game. So I know that when I get off kilter, like when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling a little bit behind, I'm feeling a little dragged, or I'm feeling frustrated or whatever, I know that I have to focus on those practices first.
So, if you had a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you had a book in your hands, it's like a big
Mm-hmm.
coffee table book, and it was your life so far, and you handed it over and said, "This is what's happened so far." Would that young version of you believe it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. I think because the young version of me, I mean, at that point in time, I was like, I'm going to go to school. I actually was wanting to be a marriage and family therapist. Like, I saw myself just as this simple, behind the scenes, average person. I remember even that was one of the things I worked on with one of my mentors was like, I'm just average. I'm just an average person.
Yeah.
And it's been really, no. So I think for a long time, that average identity was something that I really held on to.
So
Yeah.
let's say you walked into a room of everybody that's known you in a professional sense throughout your life, and you walk up to a podium and you can tell them one fun story about you, the first concert you went to,
Mm.
a travel moment, jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a bear, something fun that would humanize you to that room. What story, what fun story would you tell that room of people?
Ooh. So I'm not, I love adventure, but I don't love like extreme adventure. So
Uh-huh.
like my kids will, they joke about when we go hiking, we do a lot of hiking. And when we go hiking, I'm always the very cautious, like stay away from the edge. But maybe part of it's because we've done a lot of hiking with little kids, and little kids have very little understanding
Yeah.
of body awareness, nor do they understand like safety. And you fall off this cliff, you will die. There's nothing on the other side. Like they just don't comprehend. So they've always attributed me to this like very fearful, very timid sort of thing in those adventurous activities. And I remember one time my sister and I decided we were going to swim with sharks. And so we were in the Dominican Republic and we get in the water, and you think you sign up for like a go swimming with sharks expedition, you're going to be in this like nice clear water and you're going to see the sharks from far away. But no, we get in the water and it's murky as
Oh
hell
no.
and you can't see anything.
Oh
So
no.
my sister and I are like snorkeling side by side, and you can just see objects. You can't see the full thing, but you can just see stuff shimmering in the water, few feet away from you. And I can remember my sister climbing on my back and
Oh
shoving me down, like trying to use me to climb out of the water when we
no.
saw these sharks. And I remember this today. I'm like, yeah, you would feed me to a shark trying
Oh
to
no.
save yourself.
Oh no. Wow. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they were obviously not going to hurt you, but still,
No.
the idea
Yes.
that's been imprinted in our human lineage from like the Darwinian Galapagos days is do not get anywhere near them. They are
Yes.
bloodthirsty. And you still don't really know what an animal is capable of.
Totally.
You know,
Totally.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
always going to be in there. So, of everything that you've done up to this point in your life, everything that you've succeeded at and overcome and evolved to, what are you the proudest of?
The proudest of. That's a great question. I think that for me, the proudest thing I would say has been even just in this last year is really learning to love and honor myself. I think, and I don't know, I turned 40 this year, so I hear people say like turning 40 is kind of like a tipping point for that, of like you just don't give a care what other people think about you anymore, and you just start focusing on like what do I really need and what do I really want. And that journey for me over the last decade of raising kids, which also is something really crazy powerfully to be proud of, but also like the willingness for myself to be wrong, I think is in that, like the willingness for me to understand the places I've done wrong, the willingness for myself to understand that I have lots of places to grow and lots of things to learn. And also in that, being okay with where I am at and who I am, and letting go of other people's expectations. Because I think even 10 years ago, I had such big, lofty dreams and goals and things like that. And this last year has been my year of I just want to be content.
Yeah.
I want to choose contentment with where things are at, no matter what, no matter how big it looks, no matter how great it looks, no matter how awful it may look. How do I choose contentment and live in that place of contentment? And this year I've watched just so much transition and transform for me in that. And I think that is one of the biggest things I'm probably most proud of.
Think when you get to this age, when you get to an older age, you realize you just have to be alive long enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's that wine in a barrel thing. Like it's just not going to be good unless it sits in there for a while.
Yeah.
You just literally have to be alive on this planet and take it all in and realize what's important and what's not. Um,
Totally.
so at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your
Mm-hmm.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Mm. I I know like something that I feel like deeply lately, and I've been like repeating it to myself every day, is like I feel like I'm a desire awakener for women. So I see myself as, I know I'm like big, expansive vision. Like I can see vision, I can see possibility. My husband and I joke all the time that I'm the one that comes up with the ideas and then he has to execute them, because that's kind of how it's been. Like I get very excited. I see lots of possibility and I see lots of potential. I just don't like handling all the details of making it happen.
Yeah.
So we work out really great. He's an engineer project manager and I am a visionary. So we work really well together. But I think even that, like just in society, like I see that, like I see myself as like vision and possibility and hope and potential, and like being able to hold space for people in that. And I really, really see myself as that, whether it's for the people that are in my smallest little network of the world, or if it's across the globe. Just being able to really sit in that with people, I think, is one of the greatest things.
So if anybody's ready for the next step, they want to reach out,
Yeah.
they want to hire you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah. I think my book is a great place to start. It's called Cycle Sync Your Business.
Yeah.
You can grab a free copy on my website when you pay just cover shipping and handling, or on Amazon or wherever you want to grab it. That's a great place. I love hanging out on Instagram. I'm just Renae Fieck over there. So come over there, share with me, talk to me, let me know you heard me here with Joe. And yeah.
All right, excellent. I will put all this in the show notes. So great to meet you. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
holiday season.
You too. Thanks so much
Appreciate
for
it.
having me.
You bet. So